Good morning, friends. Happy Ramadan. I think I'm live. Yeah, okay. I did not realize that today was daylight savings in the United States. And so I am feeling very discombobulated between thinking I was on time and thinking I had another hour, and not certain which is which, given that we are just barely past the new moon in Pisces, I believe. There's and something I read recently said lots of um, planets are in watery signs right now, so I think I'm in that flow. Um, Consequently, before I start chatting about my time at in Tulum on the Deep Play Tarot Readers Retreat, or presenting the Tarot Show at Convocation this year, or getting into to walk through the Forest of Souls by our dear Rachel Pollock. I need and want some grounding centering. So I am going to take all of us through my open channel work, but from a seated position. And so what this means is that if you also are seated, you can do exactly what I am doing. And if you are standing, you can do this as fully embodied as you want to, as feels right for your body today. As always, you are the expert of your own body. If something I offer doesn't feel right or hurts, tweaks anything, don't do it. Imagine it, or do something else that your body does really want to do. So, I'm going to start tapping at the top, working my way all the way down, just giving super light taps over all of your body that you can reach. Bottoms of your feet, full of breath. And take a pause. Notice what's different. Notice what's the same. And coming in with some strong touch, massage from the top to the bottom. I'm going to go really quickly because I want to get into the meat and potatoes, or for we vegetarians, the tofu, beans and rice of the presentation and chat today. But my body needs this. Hello, Kristen. Hello, beautiful. Maybe your body needs this too. And when you have done giving some good, strong touch, massage to your whole body, let that go. Notice what's different. Notice what's the same. And now wipe it all off, down, making sure that when you shake this energy off and away, that you're really shaking it off in a way that you're not shaking it to someone else. You'll notice that even here on the YouTubes, I'm not shaking it towards you because I don't want you to receive my energetic gunk. Give a nice little shake and shimmy all your body. Maybe roll your neck around super gently, especially for anybody who has any neck issues. That's a good one to just think about and imagine in your mind's eye, imagining it as if you are seeing from yourself, not observing yourself, but actually doing, feeling, imagining those sensations. Thank you for joining on that little teeny tiny snippet of my open channel workshop, how actor warm-ups improve your readings this morning. So first off, because we have Chris down in the chat, I'm going to chat a little bit about Tulum and the Tarot Readers Retreat. And oh, good. I'm so glad that felt good for you also, Kristen. Kristen and I met at the Tarot Readers Deep Play Retreat down in Tulum, Washington. Oh, interesting. So one of the things that I learned and explored for the first time in Tulum was the use of charms. I can't believe it's a week. Also, it's wild. It's wild. And so is the use of charms in addition to tarot or oracle, or you can just create your own little charm bag and pull them out. And the charm for luck, one of the charms, because I actually have two charms for luck in my charm bag, just happened to be out on the table, like far away from where my charm bag actually was. So it obviously fell out at another time and has come back to me. So this speaks to some of the luck that may be coming up this week. Maybe an invitation to invite more luck into your life in some fashion. The charms were an addition, were taught by Jenna Matlin, who is how I heard about the retreat in the first place. She and I met at my very first Northwest Tarot Symposium. And there are so many. Those of you who are on my Patreon have been able to see some of the close-ups, and I'm doing a little more of a deep dive into what all of my different charms mean, because one of the lovely things that I'm really getting into and working to see clearly with about these charms is that you make them your own. We were all invited to choose charms that meant something to us. And maybe it has multiple meanings, maybe it doesn't. Like this snowflake for me is winter and literal snows. But given the activist work that I also do in the world, can also have some snowflake connotations to it potentially. My whale tale of water and oceans and literal whales, literal animals. Yeah, So just has been an absolute uh, delight and so much fun. Very much diving into the fun of and playfulness of the deep play in the retreat. Um, I'll be doing a little more of a like full um, recap of Tulum for my patrons, but the things that are coming up that I'm just really loving and working to carry forward are like some of the little things. Like right now, I am drinking hibiscus tea. It is hot because it is cold and rainy here in the Pacific Northwest, um, Multnomah Chinook lands. If you have not joined the fight for Chinook justice to help them get their federal tribal recognition back, please do. And there's always one of the things that I love about retreat, about festivals, is thinking about what to take with on when we are away from that, magical Nine of Pentacles place, whether that's um, a retreat that I attend or something that I facilitate. And followers of this channel and folk who have attended group tarot readings or the tarot show know that there's a song that I sing at the end of my sessions, which I got to sing at the end of Tulum as well. Uh, and I will just sing it now before going forward. And delightfully, how things weave together. I found the sheet music from when I first learned this chant in the very first pagan choir I was ever a part of, Triskel in Chicago, and this chant is by Betsy Rose, copyright 1988, Paper Crane Music, and Triskel learned it from Pagan Spirit Gathering, or at Pagan Spirit Gathering. Aw, thanks for starting off the song, friend Crow. Carry it home to your children. Carry it out on the street. Carry it home to the ones you love and unto the ones you meet. Carry it light on your shoulder and carry it deep in your heart. For we have been blessed with magic, and the magic will keep us whole. And I remember at that very first Pagan Spirit Gathering, that was the closing song of the closing ritual for the whole gathering. And we were asked what we were going to do to carry the magic forward. I know, it is such a beautiful chant, Kristen. Thank you. And so I was thinking about that same invite with Convocation, with Tulum, with reading Walk Through the Forest of Souls. And right here is one of those little things, because yeah, absolutely, do I want to be able to carry forward the big things and big messages and things like that come through, and hope that you all do too? Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes that is either not practical or we don't know what that is, and so it can be something as simple as hibiscus tea. And the reason why for me in this moment, it is hibiscus tea, is because part of what I loved about Tulum and the deep play retreat with Jenna Matlandrea Bloom and, of course, the esteemed Mary K. Greer was how well we were fed. We had these two local chefs that just made culinary magic, and frequently, and at every single meal they prepared for us, there was a different aqua fresca, excuse me, and one of them was hibiscus. And I thought to myself, I have hibiscus tea at home already. I can sweeten it with the raw honey that I uh, bought from the Maya priests when attending a sweat ceremony there, and have it warm because it is chilly and rainy where I am. Ah, yes. Cheers to the tea. What tea are you drinking? Mm, our bodies and souls were so well cared for. And one of the um, one of the pieces and that's one of the pieces that it's important to me when I am like looking at what retreats and what events that I am going to attend or present at. And it's also important to me as an organizer when I am organizing retreats, because that care for body and soul, that care for nourishment, the absolute richness and ease and breath and delight and activation um, of being able to wake up and have a beautiful spread of food there waiting for all of us, and be able to take that and chat and talk about the dreams that we had that night before, and talk about um, things that we were learning in the classes. It was just delightful. And ooh, Magic Hours breakfast tea in Paris. That sounds very lovely and fancy. I love it. Delicious choice. And that's also one of the things that Convocation prioritizes that I love. They have a hospitality suite, so there is always a place for you to go and get little snacks and get little nibbles and get tea, get coffee, and it's a high priority to the community. And and it is one of the many things that I love about how Convocation also cares for its people and its community. I look forward to uh, there not being any styrofoam cups there in the future. And, that who knows who may have brought those cups from what dusty basement they may have been. Like, I do not think that the organizers went out and bought them. I think it is much more likely because the hospitality suite welcomes donations from the community to continue feeding and nourishing everybody. I think it is much more likely that those were given to the hospitality suite rather than being intentionally purchased. But ooh, a little cold. So, when I was finishing up a walk through the Forest of Souls, I was particularly struck by an invitation that Rachel gives all of us towards the end of the book, which is to create our own different fool's journey, because there is apparently some scholarship and research out there that uh, that has some early decks not even having not having any numbers, not having any keys, that the what we think of as 0 through 21 from the Fool to the World came much later. And one of the things that Rachel stresses in this book that I love and adore is how plasticine and flexible tarot is, how it creates so many stories and so many different experiences in the world. And so I thought it might be fun to separate out the major and minor arcana from uh, from one of my decks, and I have chosen Inner Child Tarot because it's all literally stories and fairy tales, which felt appropriate for this time around. And what she invites doing is pulling out one of the major arcana cards that you want to have in the place of the Fool, because she likes to think about the journey of the major arcana in 3 chunks of 7, with the Fool off on its own, whether that's because it's the Fool's journey or just to have those lovely 3 rows of 7. A lot of possibility there. And so, given that it is the new moon, given that it is the beginning of Ramadan, given that it was something that I got really curious about, and today is one of the days. Today is one of the sessions where I get to follow my own curiosity, because it is not about being in conversation with another tarot professional. I want to see what happens if I want to see what happens when I take out strength, as this is a strength year or a justice year, depending on whether you think of the 8s as being strength or justice, and then give the deck a bit of a shuffle, just the majors, and see what our new story is. And so, yes, blessed new moon in Pisces. Awesome. So if you want to do this and follow along, grab a deck and pull out whatever key 8 is for you, whether that is strength or justice. And in nope, that's 13. I was like, wait a minute, that's not right. It wasn't. And then once you have pulled out, here we go. So for this deck, strength is Beauty and the Beast. And once you have done that, then just take your major arcanas, give them a shuffle, and then lay them out in 3 rows of 7. And let me pull up one of the pictures in here since I am not using my second camera. Give y'all a visual here. Would have been smart if I had marked this last night when I had the idea, but so it goes. Very much towards the end of the book. Aha, here we go. On page 256. And so where you see that Rachel puts the Fool card in this exploration, you'll put the Strength card or the Justice card. And then lay out after you have shuffled. Let's see what we are given. I'm going to need a little more room. Cards I chose are very big cards. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'll take pictures of this to show as well. It'll go up on my Patreon, but it'll be in the free area. So, and because of how it is for me to flip these cards over, I am going to share what I got from the end to the beginning. So where the world would normally be for the major arcana story is going to be the beginning. And so this is very much has the feel for those of you who have any background in theater of being able to tell the story forwards and backwards. So this is very much like telling the story backwards, but then we'll go forwards. Again, it's just easier for my layout. And I'll take a picture of this so that it makes a little more sense. So, working backwards. The Fool. Hilarious. Which in this deck is Little Red Cap, Little Red Riding Hood. 2, 17, the Star. Before that was 18, Cinderella, the Moon. Before the Moon and Cinderella was the Midas touch of everything being turned to gold at 11, Justice. And before that was Rapunzel in the Tower of 16. Before that, our Emperor had no clothes in 4. Ooh. The winds are talking today. Before that, 7, Peter Pan. And before that, we were the Wizard, the Hierophant. And before that, we were Snow White, 9, the Hermit. And before that, we were 12, Jack and the Beanstalk, the Hanged One. And before that, We were the three little pigs, judgment or ascension. And before we had to worry about our houses being blown down, we were 10. Alice in Wonderland, the Wheel of Fortune going round and round and round. Maybe we dealt with some challenges. And before that, we were Sleeping Beauty, 13, Death. And before that, we were the Guardian Angel, Temperance, 14. And before that, this strength of ours, this Beauty and the Beast situation of having to look deep into ourselves and into others for who they really are at their core rather than the masks they wear. We were 3, Mother Goose, the Empress, the one who tells and holds all of those in these stories, quite literally. And before that, strength was 2, the Fairy Godmother, the High Priestess, making the magic happen, knowing what's behind the veil. And before that, there was the journey of the yellow brick road, the sun, 19. And before that was the earth child, the world, 21. And before that was Hansel and Gretel, 6, a very sweet depiction of the lovers, the family love, the love of the people that are there with you day in and day out. And before that was Aladdin and the Magic Lamp, the magician, 1. Having so much power and so much constraint all at the same time. And before that was the big bad wolf, 15. The devil. So this strength's journey rather than fool's journey goes from the devil to the fool through such lovely stories. And this is Rachel's invitation of one of the many in this book. Her invitation of continuing to play with tarot, continuing to think about what happens if the story of the major arcana is in a different order. What does that gift us with? And particularly looking at this strength card, this Beauty and the Beast card, it makes such sense that the first step on that journey has to be dealing with the beast. Like if you don't deal with the beast, with the self-hate, with the disappointment in yourself for it was the beast's actions that got him cursed. Had he been nicer and kinder and more generous and offered hospitality to the witch who came knocking, he never would have been cursed. And so the fact that the first thing that comes up is the devil, and dealing with that beast and dealing with um, the consequences of those actions, of course, has to be first on this new journey to wanting to be able to get to that place of the fool, to get to that place of the new journey in love, of being able to love and accept love and be worthy of love. Like, of course, that has to start with the big bad wolf and that self work. Yes, right? And so the first 7 are the outer work, as Rachel describes it. The middle 7 are inner work, and the final 7 are those next steps towards enlightenment, the more spiritual soul work. Um, and again, pick up the book. I will put the bookshop link, my bookshop link to it in the box below, or please go to your local brick and mortar, request it at your local library. All of those are great. I would tell you an artist direct link, but of course, Rachel is no longer with us. And yet she is always with us. And you can read it for yourself and decide if you like how I am, like and agree with how I am digesting her information. And so, looking at this, it makes perfect sense that one has to find the magic and accept that one's self is a magic tool, that there is the possibility for love. Maybe our beast had a sibling at one point. Yeah. Which book are you talking about, Kristen? Walk Through the Forest of Souls, or some of the fairy tales that are coming up in this reading due to the deck? Because I know it has been more than a hot minute since I read Aladdin and the Magic Lamp. I think the last time I read that one I was probably 11 years old myself. And I have no idea what translation I read. Rachel's book, yes. It is. I have now only I have only read it the one time, but it's so rich. It's so rich, and she so was and is the hermit for so many of us, letting her books now shine her light continuously as she has walked on into a forest with many, many, many good souls up there. And maybe our beast has some childhood things to think about, or some familial, remember what it was like to have a sibling, if they had a sibling, or maybe this card is for the beauty in this, to remember what it was like to have to deal with the snarky sibling, or the maybe slightly more feral sibling, to help the beast with the transformation and with their journey, to the universe, the world, the earth, taking a step back, getting a big picture. When it gets too close, tempers get too heated, too flared, taking that step back and getting the big picture and um, centering love, centering heart to the sun of letting the um, letting the energy and the sun rise again, but also for this one, it's the yellow brick road. These friends are on a journey together. It's not in isolation anymore. And I remember, the parts of Beauty and the Beast when uh, Beauty is captured, that part of the work was all of the people in the household that had also been transformed working and helping and supporting. And so it feels like remembering the others on the path is important there to the magic. And I'm so hearing Angela Lansbury sing Tale as Old as Time right now because I am a child of that particular Disney story. And I love me some Angela Lansbury. Who knows? Maybe Angela and Rachel are having some sort of celestial conversations right now. And remembering this particular story of Beauty and the Beast, maybe this is also when Beauty learns the story of the transformation, learns why and how that big bad wolf energy, that um, rude, stingy energy got the entire household into the transformation that they were in. And then that physical world work completes with 3, the Empress, Mother Goose, the keeper of all of the stories. All of the stories, all of the tales, and consequently, all of the ways that the stories could be rewritten and reimagined. To going deeper, Temperance, the guardian angel, finding the ways to temper the beast, to temper the emotional reactions to the beast. To Sleeping Beauty, sometimes you just got to sleep on it. Sometimes you just got to go to your room and close the door and be like, yep, I have had enough work. Today, I cannot do any more. Let me sleep and see what dreams may come. And see what then gets reborn the next day, which here is Alice in Wonderland, which is so lovely because it's the high highs and the low lows. It's the going round and about on a carousel. It's the getting ahead, but not necessarily feeling ahead. And as strength is working to transform that beast back into a prince, back into a royal, like they're going to be the high highs and the low lows. They're going to be the setbacks. And so it fascinates me that directly in the center of this reading is the 3 Little Pigs, the other story that has that big bad wolf in it, who was huffing and puffing and blowing down other people's houses, and not in our story, not letting people into their house, not offering hospitality as was the law of the land for a very long time. And so that, oh, interesting. Cards wanted to flip flop there to put the strength there in the center and judgment, the three little pigs there on the outside. So there are also maybe some shifting of energies that want to happen, like wanting to get the end result faster, but getting to that real place of transformation, to that real place of acceptance and freedom, and what Rachel calls the the everything and nothing, if I'm remembering correctly, um, takes work. You can't finish in the middle of the story, even if you might want to. And to continue on, the hanged one, there needs to be a different point of view. There needs to be a sacrifice. And there wants to be a wish, a hope, and a prayer, that trade of magic beans for a cow that nobody think that no one in the quote unquote real world thought was a great idea. But when Jack actually followed their intuition and said yes and planted those seeds, they were then given this magical pathway to the upper realms of consciousness, of magic, of mystery. And it happened either, and it happens after ascension. Yes, 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 yes. And it comes after dealing with literal loss of home for yourself, or the that has been taken away from others. Because let us remember, our beauty was also literally taken away from her home and told she could not go back. And she stayed there by choice for her family and her father. But it wasn't much of a choice. Wasn't really much of a choice there. And so then after this ascension and and dealing with other literal and metaphorical giants, then our beauty and the beast, our strength, comes back to Snow White, to 11, to just, no, excuse me, to 9. I was like, that's not correct. Obviously, my use of Roman numerals is a little rusty. To 9, to the Hermit, literally getting away. Maybe up to some celestial realms, maybe some, like, I just got to get away, go out to the garden realms. To the 5, the Wizard, or the Hierophant, of, after dealing with these inner trials and isolation and upside downness, of deciding what's really important and what's really of value in strength, so that then it shifts on to 7, Peter Pan, the Chariot, taking the reins and going. And it's interesting to think about how the chariot has two reins and strength has both Beauty and the Beast here, or the person and the lion. Yes. Yes, Mayan gods descending head first. Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. And once they have they each have the reins for their spiritual life, for their personal growth, then they get to see where they're actually lacking, where they're not wearing any clothes, where they've been deluding themselves, where the systems that they thought were really useful and helpful were not at all. And once they've dealt with that literal nakedness and um, and realization that the quote unquote common people have more common sense and awareness than royal delusion, there's the tower when everything comes crumbling down. But also with this version of the tower, with this version of Rapunzel, that yes, the vulnerability and the I will find the way to bring my lover up here with me. And then both of them get cast out, and the one lands in a bed of thorns and goes blind and wanders. And so there is this willingness to sacrifice for your love, for um, for realizing that the vulnerability is is scary but okay and worth it. And into the Midas touch of this is when everything is every the King Midas asks for the gift that anything he touched be turned to gold. And yes, we are all the same when stripped down to our essence. Yes, 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 absolutely. And and of course King Midas doesn't think this gift through, because it means that he literally starves himself, because everything he touches turns to gold. Nobody can eat gold. I would much rather have my hibiscus tea. And so in this after after this soul shattering realization of the powers of love, and letting go and pain and sacrifice, because our Jack and the Beanstalk from earlier also has tie-ins to Odin hanging on the world tree, Yggdrasil, and giving up his right eye for the gift of the runes. And here in Rapunzel, the prince, the beast correlation, is blinded when lands on the thorns. Um, Only much later to be in a similar turn of story, only much later to be revived and sight regained when uh, Beauty, or in this case Rapunzel, cries over the lost eyes of the lover. And so the in realizing the curse that was brought upon, again, by his own choice, by the beast's own choice, realizing the larger ramifications of that. It then shifts into Cinderella, into the moon, into letting her go back home to reality. Like this is the time when the magic dress, it is after midnight, the magic dress has gone away, the chariot is back down to a pumpkin, and the memories of that time are there. But here is where she's going back home. That if you love something, set it free feeling. To wishing on a star. Because the beast literally has to just wish and hope that she'll return, or just fully make peace with the beast, fully make peace with that inner devil, and find the ways to be okay and repentant, since his choices affected everybody else in the household, but to just make that wish and hope that she can learn to love him, to hope that the work that he has done through this major arcana journey is makes him worthy of love. And that wishing on a star, that putting it out to the heavens, that magic do as you will, then comes back to the Fool, Little Red Cap, that beginning of the journey, the zero, the everything and the nothing, all at once. So I I think this works brilliantly well. It is an excellent exercise in, like, um, in really digesting your major arcana, in looking at how different stories are literally woven together. Oh, thank you, Kristen. Um, and it is just one of the many exercises and invitations in Walk Through a Forest of Souls. Um, should you should you want a reading with me or a tarot story of your own, you can book all of those through my Linktree links or become a patron. And thank you all so much for watching and tuning in whenever this video comes across your feed. I hope it is helpful. I go live the 10th of the month at 11 o'clock Pacific, even when the times change forward and backwards, although who knows, maybe by the time you're watching this, that is an archaic practice that we are done with. And thank you so much, Kristen, for joining and chatting. Um, it's always so lovely to be in conversation with you particularly, Kristen, and all of you watching. Have a beautiful rest of your day.